Good afternoon. This, I believe, is the installment number 10. Um, I had some really interesting thoughts. In fact, quite a few over the last week. Um, but I wanted to title this one called Triumph Over Tragedy. Of course, many of you heard about what happened, and I'm not getting into that. That's not what this one's going to be about. Um, this is more about how some good's coming out of all the bad, and there's been a few references I want to make to it. So, um, of course. On the way back home from the retreat, Moose really wanted to go see the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio, and I was like, okay, sure, we can do that, and we we went on over there, and of course we're both in a really low position, and especially Moose. He's been feeling so upset and guilty and ashamed for a lot of things, and just really hit a low spot. But as soon as we got there, his face lit up, and he was just real excited, and it's like everything. It's like his problems went away, and they have they have guided tours through this museum, and I'm here to tell you, didn't need one. Moose was the greatest tour guide I have ever could have had, and he just he knew every single plane, every single piece of equipment, everything that was in there. He knew everything about it, and it was really kind of funny. He was giving some facts about it and telling me what this plane was or what this engine was or all this stuff. And but he also included a whole bunch of stories with it, that was part of his past and his youth and and of course during his military times and everything, and they were really good stories, stuff you just don't hear, going through a guided tour, and you can just see it in his eyes. He was so proud, proud of himself, which is what he needed. He's holding on to those words that he keeps being told, that he was told that he's worthless and he won't amount to anything and he's stupid and on, right? Well, that's far from it. He's an accomplished retired veteran of the Air Force, and he just was an encyclopedia book on planes. I mean, it was incredible. It was just the amount of information he had just locked away in his head, was astounding to me. I wouldn't know one bit about any of that stuff, but he was right there. And the funny thing was, is after a little while, he'd always say what each plane was and all this stuff before we even got to it, and he was telling me stories about it and stuff. And I thought, I'm going to check to see how accurate he is. And I kid you not, every time we come, up to a plane or something, he'd tell me exactly what it is, what it can do, and all this stuff. And when we finally get up to it, I look at the little cards, or the little postings they have about each piece of plane or whatever it is that's in there, and he nailed it, every single one of them. He did not, make any mistakes anywhere. It's like boom, out it came, and he had it down, and I was really, really impressed, by that. Uh, he's not stupid. He's far from stupid. He's actually a lot smarter than what he even gives himself credit for. You know, but that whole time he was really happy and really proud. You know, and especially when he got to talking to another Vietnam vet while he was there. You know that because he's extremely shy. You know, but he made it a point to be able to talk to this guy, and I just stood back, you know, and watched him and this guy talk for at least 10 or 15 minutes, you know, and you could just see how much it meant to him. You know, it really was a good thing for Moose, and I was really happy for him, you know. And then fast forward the next day, and we're in Dixon, Illinois, and we're meeting up with Gerard. You guys know him as Jerry. I call him UG, short for Uncle Gerard. And you know, we made it a point to come stop and see him because he couldn't come out because of his wife was, you know, really sick and dealing with cancer and all the treatments, the chemo treatments and radiation, all that stuff, you know. So he couldn't go nowhere. He had to stay home and you know, be with his wife. And so, you know, when we got out there and you know, we got to meet him, and you know, we had dinner and I was thinking that was all we were going to do, was just have dinner and talk for a little bit. But, you know, we ended up having breakfast with him the next morning before Moose and I made that long trip back to Kansas, you know. And being able to meet UG was very healing for me. Of course, you know, I was in a real down spot too, and having a hard time focusing on things and dealing with my own issues, you know, and all this stuff. But we just talked. That's all it was, you know. We just talked for a few hours, you know, and we talked about our issues. You know, we shared our commonalities in the struggle we have and the fights we have with our issues on abuse and all this stuff. And I got so much out of that. You know, I mean, I can't say how much it meant to me, and how much UG is just so, he's got such a big heart, you know. He's so compassionate, and he's full of wisdom too. He's got a lot of wisdom. But I can say this about him, you know. He's the genuine article. He's the deal, you know. There's nothing phony about him. I trust him completely, you know, especially after getting to meet him. It made that bond for me even stronger, you know. And I feel so blessed, you know, to be able to have him too in my life, you know, as a, you know, a fellow brother struggling in our issues. You know, he was there to help me too, you know. And you know, got off the phone with him earlier, and we were talking, and him and Moose gave me permission to talk about this. You know, I wanted to make sure that they were okay with it, and comes to find out, you know, I mean, we knew that it was helpful for UG as well, you know, but he said that because he has certain issues too, one of which I won't say what it is. I mean, I'm not going to get that far, but because of the fact that he was with Moose and myself, it helped him to, maybe not totally overcome it, but it helped him make a huge step in being able to deal with it better. And you know, and it was just because Moose and I were there, just listening to them, just talking to them. And it really made me feel good to know that despite all the hardships and everything that we've been going through lately, that we could still be there to help others too, truly help. And that's just by listening, and sharing, what's bothering us. That's how we heal, and I just was like blown away, and I got so much out of it, just those few hours we were with them, and I'll never forget it, um, so anyway, I'm gonna end this one here, but I just wanted to let everybody know that despite all the tragedies in our life, there still could be some positive things that come out of it. And we got to do what we can to focus on the positive aspects. I know it's hard. It's really hard. I was sorely tested this past week. Really, really tested. But these new tools that I have, and I'm trying to focus on the positive, starting to come back around, and helping me focus on that. And that's where I need to go. So anyway, I want to say thanks to everybody for taking the time to listen and getting so much out of these videos. I hope they help somebody, even one person. It's worth it. So anyway, take care. See y'all later.